All right. Welcome, everybody. Looks like we are live. How's everyone doing? You can feel free to unmute yourself or just drop a little note in the chat. Anybody want to check in and share a gain? All right, nice to see you, Brenda. Okay, so what we're going to cover tonight is one of the most popular aspects of Lester's method, and that's working on goals. See, one of the things that's so brilliant that Lester created when he gave us this method as a tool for going free is he knew, like how Buddha knew. Just get my mic plugged in a little bit better here. All right, can everybody hear me okay? How's this? How's this sound? Okay, good. All right, so like I was saying, what Lester created was absolutely brilliant because he knew, like what Buddha knew, that want is suffering. And the answer to eliminate all of our suffering in life is to get rid of desire, to get rid of wanting. Now, there's a lot of teachings and philosophies that talk about dropping desire. A lot of deep spiritual practices revolve around dropping desire. And lots of books have been written about it. But a lot of people, they tend to intellectualize or rationalize dropping desire. Like they say they do. It's like, people who go to church, right? It's very popular and indoctrined in the teachings in most churches that you should love thy neighbor. It's one of the commandments, isn't it? Love thy neighbor. But it's something that we learn. Love thy neighbor. However, most of the people that show up every Sunday, they're sitting there in their pew judging their neighbors down the pew, right? Oh, look at what so-and-so's wearing. Oh, you know what they've been doing. Let me tell you the gossip that I heard about them. Right? So we're talking about our neighbors, we're judging them, we're disapproving of them, we want to be better than them. So we say one thing and we do quite the opposite. And likewise, a lot of spiritual people walk around saying one thing, but doing the exact opposite. Saying, oh, I don't want anything. I don't have any desires. I'm not materialistic. And on and on and on and on. But the problem is they rationalize it. They say they don't want anything. But deep down they do. And I know I run into a lot of Europeans because I'm living now in Amsterdam going on 5 years. Been doing lots of classes out here. And I've known that's always been a thing for Europeans to say, oh, we're not like Americans. We're not all, materialistic and into money and having to work and hustle and be really successful, all of that. That's not what we're into. But when it comes to working on goals and releasing to have abundance, almost every single one of these people, like, hey, sign me up for that. So the reason why I bring this up is because we really have to examine ourselves and see that our feet are following our mouths. Because this brings us back to those of us that are releasers. We're graduates. We've done this method. We've taken a class. We know it, what the method is all about. We know how to use it. And we go around saying, well, I'm a releaser. I release all the time. And I hear this from graduates that I used to see like years and years ago at retreats and so on. Don't see them anymore, but I run into them and say, oh yeah, you're into that releasing stuff. Oh yeah, I release. I still release all the time. But quickly in the conversation, I realize they're really not. Either what they call releasing all the time, at most is about 1 to 5% of what they do during the day is spending it releasing. Or the releasing that they do, they're just skimming the surface, not really digging deep. So that's what we're going to focus on today, is applying the method and not just saying it, but going all in on it, recognizing, am I doing it or am I not doing it? And it's a very easy thing to recognize and be honest with yourself. What am I doing? And is what I'm doing going to get me the results that I'm looking to get? And most of the time we can recognize what our actions are, right? If I say I want X, but I put all of my energy and all my attention into Y, well, it's no wonder why I'm achieving Y and not X that I say that I really want. And we're also going to just reaffirm that the method works. And in order to get it to work, and get it to work consistently, get it to where you could really rely on getting everything in your life by releasing only, is to keep it simple. See, even the best of us, we can easily fall victim to our mind. I think most of us by now realize that our mind is nothing that's so special. All that mind is just a voice in your head talking to you. And if you listen carefully to that voice that you've been listening to your whole life, it just revolves around the same stories, playing themselves out over and over and over again in your mind. And all that mind knows how to do is just repeat back information that you put into it. In other words, it's nothing more than a recording and playback machine. That's it. That's all the mind does. Pay attention to it. You'll see. All it does is it just plays things, right? It just records things. And then it plays those recordings back to you, whether you want to listen to them or not. And most of that stuff that it plays back to us, most of those recordings that mind stores and it loves to talk about, are all negative. 95%. Just examine your thinking. There's a lot of worry, a lot of criticism, a lot like those people in church who listen to their mind just go on about talking about somebody else and, oh, how awful they are, and judging them, making them wrong, without realizing it takes one to know one, right? But we listen to that mind, talk about them, because, hey, as long as I can point my finger at them and make them wrong, I don't have to look at myself, right? So that's the mind for you. It's a very negative thing, full of worry, full of fear, full of I can'ts, full of self-doubt, embarrassments, beating myself up, and on and on and on. And what we have to do first is get very clear about our goal. And one thing that Lester said about our goal, and for those of you who have listened to anything of Lester's talks, you most certainly have heard the one where he starts off by saying, talk about me, talk about you, and I realize what's the difference. And I'll drop a link to that in the description on YouTube, so you can listen to Lester in his own words. But in there, very early on in that talk, and it's just a 9-minute talk, very short, but probably the most powerful talk you ever listen, from any spiritual master, because he tells you everything that you need to do in order to go free. And he repeats it like 3 times, all in that 9 minutes. And that's it. He just spent 9 minutes telling you 3 times over what you need to do. And that's it. All you need to do is listen to that and follow it, and you'll go free. But early on in that, he says quite simply, if you want to go through the most tremendous experience you could ever imagine, all you need to do is just stop your thinking for 1 moment. And that's all of your thinking. Not just the 10% that you're aware of, that you're conscious of, but all of your conscious and unconscious thinking. If you could just stop all of your thinking for just 1 moment, you'll just be blown away by all the happiness and goodness and imperturbability and confidence and security. Everything good that you could possibly imagine just floods into you, because that's who you are behind all of that thinking. So with that in mind, let's just take a look at something else that Lester said here about dropping the mind. I'll read this for you if it's too small on your screen. The greatest thing and the most difficult thing we have to do is to drop the mind. It's a junkyard full of refuse from ages past, refuse of thoughts of limitations. I'm a limited body, I have troubles. All thoughts contain limitation. We pile them up in a thing we call mind. And remember, that mind is just a recording and playback machine. So we put those thoughts in there, right? We something bad happens to us in our life. When we are 14 years old, right? We have some big catastrophe. Basically, we didn't get what we wanted at that moment. And we throw a temper tantrum, and we just make a decision that says, no matter what I do, I can't get what I want. And we're so frustrated. And with all that emotion and energy and that frustration, right, we made this decision. I can never get what I want, no matter what I do. I always sabotage myself. Nothing works out. I hate this. right? Anyone ever have an episode like that? But see, when you do that, remember that mind is a recording and playback machine. It just records that in. I can never get what I want. And then it plays that back to you over and over and over again. It will not stop because the mind will not erase itself. Right? You, the owner of that mind, has to proactively go in and erase it using the method. Right? But see, this is all that, these limitations and garbage that Lester's talking about here. So the mind is nothing but the sum total accumulation of all these thoughts. So the mind is kind of a junkyard of limitation. All right, so how do I get rid of the mind? By quieting it. And more specifically, by releasing. Letting go of the desires, the wanting. That quiets the mind. Each release that you make, every time you use the 6 steps, you just say, oh, there's me wanting to control. Kind of let go of wanting to control. Boom, you let that go. That mind is quieter to that degree permanently from that moment forward. And you keep releasing, keep using the 6 steps. Your mind gets quieter and quieter. You get clearer and clearer. And who you are becomes obvious, totally obvious to you. So how do we get rid of the mind? By quieting it. When we quiet the mind, we discover our infinity. The more we see our limitlessness, the more we recognize that junkyard called mind, and the more we let go of it because we realize we are not it. I'm not that voice talking to me. We let go of it until we go so far that we drop the whole remaining mind at one time. Just in a single decision, we just wipe out all the rest of it. I'm done with that thing. I'm not listening to it anymore. However, before that, we keep battling the thoughts as they come up. As the thoughts come up, we let go. We release, right? We let go and let go until we let go of enough of them so that the self that we are is obvious. Then it takes over and takes us all the way. The greatest thing to quieting the mind, or the greatest thing is quieting the mind, which is eliminating the mind. Releasing is a necessary step in quieting the mind. This is a major point that I'm addressing. Release. Learn how to release. And in that state, learn how to get quiet. The deeper one goes, the more one discovers the innate joys to which there are no limits. No matter how joyful you can get, you can always go further. If you're 1,000 times more joyful than you are right now, you could still go on and on. Joy is unlimited because you are infinite. But the major point, the major thing to accomplish is the ability to control the mind and release. To drop into peace at will. And by the way, this is something that, as you gain momentum and you practice releasing, because this skill that we have, it is a skill that Lester has been showing us. But it is up to us to get good at the skill. See, just like any other skill, like if you want to be a woodworker, you got to practice using the tools. And at first, you might bang up the wood. You might try to drive some nails and miss them, and make them crooked and put them sideways into the wood and make a big mess and all that stuff, or cut things not to measure and so on. But the more you practice, the easier it gets, the more skillful you get. And that's the same thing with the releasing. So that's what Lester's talking about, right? So to drop into peace at will, that is a skill. And that gets easier the more you release. A person who can control a whole nation, or a person can control a whole nation, and if they cannot control their own mind, what kind of control have they really got? They're a victim of their own mind. Rather than being free and control over their thoughts, they're actually pushed around by past habits and that noisy mind. They're no master. Only the one who can control their mind is a master. A master of not only themselves, but of anything and everything that they do. Releasing is the way. Now, this is an important part of the whole process. See, we're using the skills, the tools that Lester has given us to take control over the mind and let go of its grip over us. And like I said, the more we practice it, the quieter the mind gets, the more we see our real power. And a lot of times it doesn't make sense to the mind, but that sense of who we are and how powerful we are, even though it doesn't make logical sense, we cannot deny it. It's just something that we just know. And we know that we know. And the more we recognize that, we recognize I'm not those thoughts. I'm not those worries. I'm not those frustrations. I'm not those, those angry episodes that come up. That's not me. That's a result of this computer that I have built. Because the mind works just like a computer. And we're the programmer, we're the operator. We built that thing. You recognize, hey, that's just a machine that I built. And it's full of a bunch of junk. I don't have to take any of it seriously. And I don't have to identify with it anymore. It's just a bunch of nothing. And then we just let go of the whole thing. So, the more we release, we can actually just, in a moment's notice, if our mind gets noisy, instantly quiet it and be in control of it. That's something that is easy to do the more we practice releasing. And this is a big key to reaching our goals, because all we have to do is just get our mind quiet. And it's so easy. There's nothing to figure out. See, a lot of times, those of us who get stuck on a goal, like we've been working on a goal for years, and I just can't get it. I'm never going to get it. We're often stuck trying to figure it out. What's wrong with me? What sort of past experiences or programs or traumas do I have that's keeping me from getting this? Or what am I supposed to release on in order to get this goal? Should I do attachments and aversions? Should I work on goal charts? We're just spinning around. And this is something that my teacher, Larry Crane, was always so good at stopping us. Because he's very quick to see when we start trying to figure something out. And he's very blunt. He just says, Look, you're just spinning around. Stop it. Stop that nonsense. Ask your mind if it has an answer. Does it? Then why do you keep talking to it? If it's got no answer, other than the answer that the mind typically has, when you don't know how to do something, it says, all right, yeah, you don't know how to do it? Here's my advice. Beat yourself up. Why do you want to talk to that thing for? That is absolutely stupid. So he would just come down and very strictly and take you to task if he caught you doing that and remind you, stop trying to figure that out. Let go. Let go. Listen to that thing. So let's apply this now. So would anybody here like to work on a goal, or you got something that you're stuck on, or you have a question about? And I'll show you how to get your own answer and quickly move beyond your mind. Yeah?
Hello?
Yes.
I have been releasing on a goal for quite a few years, and the more I release on it, it just seems like more and more things come up to release on, and I just I don't know. I can get some. It's losing weight, and I can get to where my appetite's in control, and I lose weight for a while, and then I'll have something come up again, and I'm kind of gaining weight again. But so I mean, I have had some success, but not what I should.
Okay. All right. So can you see you're trying to figure out what's going on right now? Because you don't have an answer, right?
No.
And right now you're looking for what that solution is. What is the answer? Right?
Yes.
And you've been doing this for a long time. Well, you said that you've been stuck on this for a few years. And can you see you've been trying to figure it out all this time?
Well, I don't know that I've been trying to figure it out. When something come up that I saw that, I would just release it. But it has been situation after situation that I've had, just keep releasing. I released, wanting it. I released all kinds of other, wanting for emotional, all kinds of different things. I just keep releasing on it.
Mm-hmm. But can you see you're still wanting it? Otherwise, you wouldn't have even brought it up.
Okay.
And I know you're still wanting it because you don't have it. Now,
Well, I feel like I've gotten to a...
So look,
okay
you know that want equals what?
No. Lack.
Right. And you cannot escape that fact. Wanting is the opposite of having. And this is a very simple, clear sign that if you haven't gotten the goal, this goal that you've been working on for a couple of years, maybe it's because you're still wanting it.
Okay, I did recently started letting go of wanting because I could see where I was wanting it. So I have, worked on letting go of that wanting.
Well, see if you're wanting it right now.
I have any more want.
Are you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
See, this is what I was mentioning earlier on, is that all the answers that we're looking for are right in front of our eyes if we would just look, if we'd be honest with ourselves. It's like when I said, a lot of people that say, well, I release all the time. But, or I let go of all my wanting, but I still don't have it. I don't know why. But when you looked and you said, are you still wanting it right now? And you looked, your answer was obviously yes, right?
Yes.
Yeah, see, there you go. It's right there, right in front of your eyes. It's like the big elephant in the room. So, what are you going to do about that wanting now that you see it?
I'm going to let it go again.
Yeah.
And more until it's all gone.
Exactly. Right? And you see, just from discrimination, that want equals lack. That's clear. And now the choice is easy. Hey,
yeah.
I don't want to sit around and lack, and it's my own creation. So I'm going to let that go. So could you let that wanting go now? It was wanting to lose weight, right?
Yes.
All right. Could you let that wanting go?
Yes.
And could you let go wanting to lose weight a little bit more?
Yes.
All right. And let's discriminate further. Would you rather want to lose weight or would you rather lose weight?
Lose weight.
All right. Because notice, those are two completely different things. And remember, the mind deals in pictures. If you're standing around wanting to lose weight, look at what you're picturing in your mind is, I have weight that I need to lose. I'm not there yet. I'm lacking. Right? So as long as you're wanting, your picture is that of I don't have, I'm lacking it. And that's what you get to hold in mind. So again, could you let go of wanting to lose weight?
Yes.
And could you let go of that wanting a little bit more?
Yes.
And a little bit more.
Yes.
And even more.
Yes.
And even more.
Yes.
All right. And how do you feel now?
Really good.
Okay. And that's all we're looking for. You just feel lighter, right?
Oh, I'm smiling from ear to ear.
Okay. Well, where did that joy come from?
It's all just funny. I released long enough now, it's just, I realize I take responsibility. I just do it to myself.
Okay. But just simply notice the joy and the lightness that comes up just by letting go of the wanting. And now, see, you're at a place where it doesn't matter so much. It doesn't matter if I'm at my ideal weight or if I'm 20 pounds over or 50 pounds over or more. It doesn't matter. In other words, I could be happy anyway. See, here's the thing. Also just talk about the wanting so we can discriminate about it. You see, as long as you're wanting to lose weight, look at what you're holding in mind. Right? Because you have this goal. And in your mind, it's like, gee, if I could lose that weight and if I can get that ideal body weight and fit into the clothes and look the way I want, then I can be happy. Then I'm going to feel good about myself. Right? And that's a dream, a vision that's out there. Oh, if I could achieve that someday, then I'll be happy. Right? So you're postponing that happiness. off into the future that'll never come. Because also you're holding the wrong thing in mind. So not only are you holding in mind a picture of lack, but you're making a decision that my happiness is out there in the future. So what you're really telling yourself is, in this moment, until that happens, I'm miserable. I don't like the way I look. I feel bad about myself. Until I lose the weight, and then I can finally get permission to feel good. And you see how ridiculous that is?
Yes.
Because you're basically telling yourself to be negative in the meantime until the situation allows you to be positive. No wonder why it never happens. And we get frustrated. And we have these dreams and goals that we've been holding on to for years and years. Gee, if I could just be financially free, then I'll be happy. If I can get away from having to work 9 to 5 and work 5 days a week and be a slave for somebody else, then I could be happy. Then I could feel successful. Then I could be positive. Then I could be confident. But what are you telling yourself in the meantime? I'm unhappy. I'm unsuccessful. My life sucks. And again, that might not be so obvious that that's what you're telling yourself, but you see that you are. And since that mind is a recording and playback machine, that recording goes in. I'm unhappy. My life sucks. I'm unsatisfied. I'm no good, and I'm a loser, and I'll never make it. And you just keep feeding those programs, and then it's no wonder that's what you get. But you notice when you just did one simple thing, recognize, oh, I'm wanting this. And then you got bigger than the wanting. You said, you know what? I'm not going to keep doing this. I'm going to let this wanting go. Boom. Like less than 2 minutes. You said you're smiling from ear to ear. Now,
Yes.
also, see if it's more possible to lose weight.
Yes.
Now,
it's okay if I do, and it's okay if I don't.
And is it more possible than it was a few moments ago before you released a little bit?
Yes.
Okay. And notice that answer, yes. It came right away. You didn't have to think about it. You didn't have to sit there and come up with a story and try to convince yourself. It just came out right away. Yes. It's because it's something that you know, even though it might not make logical sense to your mind, but you know it. Notice that?
That's the truth.
And that place where that yes comes from, that's beyond the mind. That's something that is more direct. As Lester put it, that's coming from more of your causal self. See, we all exist in 3 planes. 4 if you count beingness. But there's 3 bodies that we create. The physical body, right, like the one we're sitting in here, the astral body, and the causal body. Now, when we're identified with the body, right, this chunk of flesh and all of its limitations, things are very difficult and very slow to happen. But when we're identified with our astral body, things happen much more quickly. And your astral body is the one that you see when you dream at night. When you go to sleep and you're dreaming. Notice how when you're dreaming, you can make decisions and change your dream very quickly. Like maybe, you're doing something in your dream and it's just not working out. It's like, I think we all have these dreams where like we're trying to accomplish something and we're like hustling to get it done, but it's like we're running through mud. You ever have a dream like that? And it's like the harder you try to run, it's almost like being trapped into quicksand. It just sucks you in, and it's like harder to move and get stuff done. But then you suddenly recognize, oh, I'm just doing all this effort. I'm not getting anywhere. And you just, well, let's just change the whole dream. And just in a split decision, you just change the whole scenario. And then you're like, oh, well, let's just do it the easy way now. You ever do that? Or am I the only one?
I know I have never done that, but it sounds cool.
Notice it. I bet you'll notice that, if you're in a dream, when you're sleeping at night, and a lot of times we don't remember our dreams, but maybe some people, just let me know I'm not crazy. Let me know in the chat if anyone else has experienced this. But you could just make a simple decision. Oh, this isn't working. Like, oh, I'm in Paris and things aren't going so great. Let's go to New York now. And just in this decision, you just change the whole scenario. Now you're in New York and you're doing something completely different. Anyway, I just bring that up because in the astral sense, it's easier to make decisions and just change the whole circumstances. And the causal body is even more than that. And it's something that we're always in. And we might not always recognize, well, what is this causal body? How to identify it? But I think the easiest way to identify it is that place where you're at when you said, yes, it's more possible. And you see how easy that was to come from that place after you did some releasing? To get to that place of, yes, I can?
Yes.
And just how easy it is to say yes?
Yes.
And you're just saying it from your truth. You're just saying it from your gut. And so that's an experience of being causal. Because as Lester pointed out, causal is you're the cause. Everything is a decision. And when you so decide, I can, that's it. So be it. Now, you might have more noise in the way. Like what you said a moment ago. Okay, yeah, I see there's some more mind, and now I've got a hold of it, and I can start release on the rest of it. Right? So you just continue working on dropping the mind. But that's all you need to do. Just drop the mind, and that more that sense of, yes, I can. It just becomes more and more concrete. Make sense?
It does.
All right. Now, another thing I want to point out, because you're talking about like losing weight and so on. And here's something that's also what Lester talked about different states of being. So, and this kind of relates to the physical, the astral, and causal, right? Because he talked about 3 states where we are at, which is havingness, doingness, and beingness. And havingness isn't like we have a bunch of things. It's not a state of like having lots of stuff. What he means by havingness is it's a game in our mind that says, as long as I could have things, then I can be happy. And we see a lot of this now. There's a lot of people that nowadays that feel like they're entitled to have, you might call it the American dream, right? They're entitled to, like they say, well, housing is a human right. And having a guaranteed income, that's a human right. That's not a human right. Right? Nobody owes you medical care. Nobody owes you a paycheck. Nobody owes you a house. Right? But a lot of people, they complain because, well, we're not given enough. We don't have enough. And then they start blaming the one percenters and, oh, these people are doing it, and on and complaining. But see, they're coming from a place where, well, if I could just have a house, if I could have an income, if I don't have to work, if I could do this, then I could be happy. And that's where most of the world is at least 90% of the population on the planet. And that's why people are fighting over resources. And they're always worried about lack. Even a lack of atmosphere. People get in fear over climate change and what's happening to the planet and so on, because they're coming from a place of, well, I got to have a planet to survive on in order to be happy, in order to survive, which is not true. We're something that's beyond the world, the planet, the whole universe. The whole universe can go away, but we'll still be here. Right? So it's a total misconception. And we blind ourselves in trying to get things in the world and have things in order to be happy. And this is where most of the world is stuck and wanting and miserable. Like Buddha said, suffering. Now, if we go up the steps a little bit, then we have the state of doingness. And these are more of kind of the top 10% of the people on the planet that are the CEOs, the entrepreneurs, the real big doers in the world. And I like to use Elon Musk as an example. You know, regardless of what you might think about him or, you know, what he's been doing and so on, you have to recognize that he's a big doer. And he's not so much interested in how much he has, even though he's worth billions. He doesn't even own a house. He spends time sleeping on the couches, on the sofas of friends' houses. He just moves from house to house of people that he knows. He doesn't care if I have 4 mansions and a jet and all this stuff. He's more interested in what he can do. Right? Make a big, successful car company. Send rockets into space. Create a network of communications across the planet with Starlink. Send out, pioneering missions to Mars and all this stuff. So where people are like that are coming from is, well, if I could do great things, if I could just be a big doer, that makes me happy. I don't worry so much about things and having lots of toys. I just want to do things and accomplish a lot. So that's doingness. And there's very few people on the planet. Most of the people are wrapped up on, oh, what can you give me? Give me more, and that's going to make me happy. Right? Now, at the very top is beingness. And these are what the very few realize. It's not what I can have. It's not what I can do. If I can just simply be, that's enough. That's all I need in order to be happy. Just recognize and just be. Be like a bee. And only be. If I could just be and be and be and be. That's it. And that's what you felt when you just let go of the wanting and that need of, oh, I gotta have or do. When you let that wanting go, you start resting in the sense of, oh, I don't need to have anything or do anything right now in this moment. It's just nice to be. I feel so good. And then out of being comes the ability to do things easily. You could do things without resistance, without effort. When you're just being, you can still do things. You don't have to, but you can do them easily. And also, when you reach the state of beingness, you can have things easily without even having to lift a finger or make a phone call or answer a phone call in order to have things come your way. And that's all provable just by using the simplicity of the method. All right, so Jenny.
Hi, Kris. Hi, everybody.
Hey,
Let's see. Trying to start my video.
Yeah.
There we go. Hi.
Yeah, so you have a goal that you've been working on? Or you want to work on?
Yeah, well, it's a new goal. It's something I, in a quiet moment, I got a nudge to do a GoFundMe page, and I feel like I was totally guided to that. So I did it, and I launched it, and it's brought up so much stuff and fear and beliefs and nervousness and fear and more fear and more fear.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm dealing with this week.
Okay, so you bring up a good point, because another reason why I like looking at this little chart that I made. Yeah, I did this little graphic clip art with the stairway and the doors, but this really becomes useful for bringing up what's in the way for us to accomplish our goals by releasing only. And that is sometimes stepping up and taking action and being a doer. See, when we look at these states of havingness, doingness, and beingness, we could start to recognize where we get stuck in wanting and why the method may not be working to our expectations. Because if we look at where we are at, it's like, say my goal is to be a millionaire. I really want it. And I want to get it by releasing only. After all, Lester said I could do it. Larry Crane said I can get things by releasing only. And boy, that sounds good. Because at least me, personally speaking, I can be kind of lazy. I could be like, oh, if I had a choice to work hard and get $1 million or just get it by releasing only, boy, I'd rather get it by releasing only. I don't want to have to work for it. So if we look at this chart here, if we're coming from a place of happiness, like, I got to have that million. I really, really want it. But we have a resistance and an aversion to doing anything. And we're like, well, if the method can just get me to the place of beingness, which it can, but if like I just don't want to do anything, I just want to use a method and get it by releasing only, but we don't let go of that resistance, we're often stuck, because it's kind of a mentality of, I want something for nothing, right? I want somebody else to give it to me. I want beingness to give it to me. I don't want to have to do anything myself, which means I don't want to do anything. And that translates to, I don't even want to release. I'll say that I do, or I'll say that I'm releasing, but I'm really not. And we can just look at, in these cases, like if I'm working on a goal, how much am I actually sitting down and releasing on that goal? See, a lot of us that we say, I've been working on this goal for 2 years. Well, how much are you working on it each day? Well, I kind of worked on it for 5 minutes in July, and and then I thought about it in May, and then that was about it until I made the goal about 2 years ago. And here I am complaining that I didn't get the goal. I wonder why, right? Because I even want to do any effort at all. And I'm just hoping that, well, the method is supposed to bring it to me. And then we'll see this in our actions. Like, well, I try releasing. Oh, this sounds great. I'm going to give it a shot. But we put about 5% of our effort into it, and we don't get the results. Then we're like, oh, well, releasing doesn't work. Let me go try Joe Dispenza. He says some neat things. Maybe he's got the answer for me. Or let me go listen to this guru. Or what was it that Eckhart Tolle said about it? Maybe if I go listen to him again, something will open up a light bulb, and then I'll figure it all out. Right? So we can look at our habits and our actions, and we go chasing after something, looking for something or somebody to give it to us. Again, if we don't want to do it and we have resistance to it, it's going to make it very difficult to jump all the way from havingness to beingness until we get imperturbable about the doingness. And what you brought up is a great point about this, because you said that, okay, I started to take some action. And once I started taking that action, it stirred up a bunch of fear and a bunch of other feelings, right?
Even before taking the action, from the point of conception to now, and I've released on it a lot. And I launched the page. I did the page.
All right, see, and this is a great way to incorporate releasing and get to the place. It's a mirror. I keep pointing the wrong direction. But you can get to the place of beingness. And you can absolutely jump all the way from havingness to beingness. But what will help you do that and get to beingness faster is you could use doingness to stir up that resistance, to stir up that effort, and use it for releasing. Right? So you start taking some action, stirred up some feelings. You've been releasing on it, but there's some more there. So do you have more fear?
The more I release, the more it brings up.
Okay. So what do you have now that's still in the way?
Well, the thing that's come up from the beginning is, I've never done anything like this before. So I'm asking the world for money to do this project, to do painting parties for people with disabilities and for older folks for free or low cost. And I'm actually really excited about it. But I still feel like I should be doing it with my own money. I shouldn't be asking people to pay for what I want to do. I should work hard and kill myself to be able to earn the money, not just receive it. There's so many beliefs in there about what I have to do to be able to deserve money.
Okay, so let's go back to the old point of figuring things out. Can you see you're trying to figure out how to get the project going and get it funded, but without having to ask people?
Well, I hadn't thought about it in that way, but yeah,
Well, can you see you're stuck trying to figure it out? How am I going to get this done? How do I do this the way I want to do it? And that's keeping you stuck.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it that way. Like I'm trying to figure out another way to do it. Is that what you're saying? Instead of doing the GoFundMe?
Well, it's just showing you that you still have some feelings about it, about doing the
Yeah.
GoFundMe. All right.
Yeah.
So, what's your feeling about it now? Is there fear, resistance, or wanting?
It's yeah, all three.
Say that again.
All three.
Oh, okay. So let's start with the fear.
Okay.
What are you afraid of? What people think about you?
Yeah, I'm afraid. Afraid of people saying, "Well, how much do the materials really cost? I mean, do you need that much? I mean, what are you really going to do with this money? You know?"
Mm-hmm.
And feeling like I have to defend myself or list an inventory of materials and how much they cost.
Okay. All right. And so again, you're kind of going back into the mind and you're imagining these conversations and this whole problem scenario. You got a picture of it in your mind.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
like being attacked on the internet.
Yeah. And never mind the whole story. Just looking at that picture, it stirs up a feeling.
Yeah.
Right? That fear, it's just a feeling. Never mind the story. Just focus on the feeling now.
Yeah.
Right? And can you see you've been pushing down that fear? Trying to manage it.
Yeah.
So now, instead of pushing down on the fear, could you let that fear up?
Yeah.
And see, never mind the story, never mind trying to figure out what the solution is. There's only one thing to pay attention to. Right? You're just holding down the fear. Just let it come up. All right? What do you want to carry around the fear for? Is that fun?
Yeah, I don't.
Okay.
No.
Right? Okay,
really
so that's simple. Could you let go of it? Instead of pushing down on it, could you let it come up and leave?
Yeah.
And could you let some more of that fear leave?
Yeah.
And some more.
Yeah.
And some more.
Yes.
And even more.
Yes.
And even more.
Yes.
And could you bring up some more fear? And just discriminate. What do I need to hold on to this for? What do I need to fight with it for? Let's let go, push it down. Just let it come up. And just let that fear go.
Yeah.
And even more.
Yeah.
All right. How do you feel now?
Some emotion come up.
You got some more emotions coming up?
Yeah.
Okay. So, if you look at the word emotion, it's motion, or in other words, energy and motion. So you don't have to make anything out of it. You don't have to make it out to be anything that's important. It's just energy, and it wants to leave. So just get out of the way. Invite up that energy. And let it pass through. Let it go. And there's nothing to figure out about how to let it go. You just do it.
Yeah.
I know, like Hal Dwoskin. He's used a pencil as a metaphor. Right? How do you let go of something? You just open up your hand, let it go. It's that easy.
Yeah.
And my teacher, Larry Crane, used to use a metaphor of a hot poker, which is like, one of those irons that you use to, in your fireplace to kind of poke the logs and get the fire going, right? But if you leave that iron sitting in the fire, sitting on those hot coals, it starts getting hot, right? So the whole metal is hot. And what Larry used to say, if I put a hot poker in your hand, would you sit there and try to figure out how to let it go? No, you just drop it right away.
Right.
There's nothing to figure out about. You just let it go. And that's the same thing with letting go of the desire, letting go of the wanting. Like Buddha said, want is suffering. Want is a crummy feeling. It's a feeling of lack, a feeling of poverty, right? A feeling of not enough, a feeling of insecurity. Want equals lack. So that wanting is like a hot poker. And the more you recognize it, you're just like, I'm going to let it go. Just like that. So how do you feel now?
Feel some relief.
Mm-hmm. All right. So see if you still have some feelings. Or
Yeah.
Okay. What's your next feeling now? Resistance?
What is it? The word shame keeps coming up, but I don't know
Okay.
what I'm ashamed of.
Okay. Well, you don't want to. Maybe you don't want to feel like a beggar, having your hand
Yeah.
out, right?
Yeah, I feel kind of irresponsible. Like, okay, you guys give me
I might as well
money,
be holding
so-
a cardboard sign.
Yeah, you can do it, so I don't have to.
Okay. So,
Irresponsible.
all right. And can you see that you've been fighting with that shame?
Yeah.
And all that is just a sound in your head, a picture in your head. It's just your ego. That's all it is. If you had no ego, what would you have shame over?
Nothing.
If you're imperturbable, what would you be shameful about?
Nothing.
All right. Now, can you see you've been saying no to that shame? You don't like it. Like, oh.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't want to think about it. I just push it away.
Okay. So when you say no to that shame, does it make it go away?
No.
No, you just got to push it down. You try to sweep it underneath the rug, but you have to carry that rug around with you everywhere you go.
Yeah.
Right? It's got like a dead body rolled up in it. Right?
Yeah.
That'll get you shameful. So, since saying no to it doesn't work, then let's try something different. Let's do the opposite. See if that makes a difference. Are you willing to do something different?
Yes.
All right. So look at the shame now. Instead of saying no, since that doesn't work, could you say yes to it?
Yes.
Just say yes to the shame. And that whole picture, that whole story. Just look right at it and say yes to it, whatever it looks like to you.
Yes.
And could you say yes to it some more?
Yes.
And could you say yes to it some more?
Yes.
And could you say yes to it some more?
Yes.
And even more.
Yes.
And even more.
Yes.
And even more.
Yes.
And could you say yes to it even more?
Yes.
And look at that whole picture, whatever it looks like to you. So it's just a picture in your mind. And could you look at it and say, I love you?
I love you.
Even if you turn out to be right. I love you.
Even if you turn out to be right. I love you.
Yeah, I love you.
Love.
I love you.
I love you.
I love you.
I love you.
All right. And how does that feel?
Feels better.
Okay.
Feels like it's leaving. Like
Okay.
it's dissolving,
All right.
evaporating.
And could you let go of wanting people's approval?
Yeah. Yeah, because if I don't work hard, I don't get any respect.
Yeah. But is that even true?
No, it's not. It's stupid.
It's not.
That's what I was trained.
But see,
I was
look, talk
raised
about
with
the
that
mind
from
being a
birth.
recording and playback machine. Even though you can discriminate
Yes.
and you know better, that mind keeps playing that
Ugh.
stupid story back to you. Oh, nobody likes me. Everybody thinks I'm a loser, and
Yeah.
on and on and on. Even though you know it's not true. People respect you. Right? So,
Yeah, they do.
and the only thing that's keeping that noise on an endless loop, right? Because no matter what you do, no matter how much you prove yourself and demonstrate all these great things, like I said, you cannot erase those thoughts through your mind, through actions or logical reasoning or whatever. All you do
No.
with that stuff is you manage to kind of sweep it under the rug for a while until it comes back, and it will come back.
Yeah, and
But
I've noticed that every time I work hard and have a success, my mind says it's because I work hard.
yeah, and it's not good enough,
Yeah, it's never good enough.
right? But once you just let go of that want, of that need in the first place, you said you already felt a relief. And why is that?
So
Because the
let it
mind got a
go.
little bit quieter. You started dropping your mind a little bit. And that's everything that you're looking for right there. Quiet that
Yeah.
mind. And see, notice how your mind is still wanting to go down that road of what do they think about me, and trying to figure out if they even like you or not, or or they're going to be pleased and all that stuff, and starts having imaginary conversations. It's just noise. It's a bunch of
Yeah,
nonsense. You don't even know that any of it's true.
right.
So all you have, like Lester pointed out, is a bunch of junk, a bunch of garbage. It's all those thoughts. It's all just a bunch of junk. You don't
Yeah.
need any of it. Just quiet the mind. And then you get all the answers that you're looking for. You could have all the money. You could have a successful project and have it easy. And by the way, see, now going back to this thing about havingness, doingness, and beingness, now you have something that you can actually do in order to get to the place of being. Because you see, okay, I got a bunch of wanting approval still going on. Right? So what am I going to do about that?
Mm-hmm.
Now you could take action. And you could demonstrate, now I have something that I can control. You might not know whether or not you can control those other people and how they feel about you, what they think about you. But you see how you're feeling about it, and that's your doing. That's something you have control over.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to start with what I know I can control, how I feel about it, and what's going on in my own mind. I'm going to take charge and quiet that thing. And then from taking that step, then you start to realize, oh, wait. Now things are going my way. And those people that I was so worried about, and I was stuck in my mind thinking about what they're thinking about me, and it's always a lousy picture, and I always know that they're thinking bad things about me, and then I got to prove myself again tomorrow, and then the day after that, and the day after that, and keep doing it. none of that is true anymore. And all those thoughts are just gone. See, just imagine if you didn't have any of those thoughts or considerations at all anymore. What would that be like?
It would be freedom.
Yeah.
Imperturbability.
And what could you accomplish if you weren't worried about what so-and-so's thinking about you? I mean,
Anything.
like, practically speaking, you'd be more effective in communicating your project, right?
Yeah.
And you could ask for money, but come from a very solid place of, not looking like a beggar, but someone who's, coming from a place of power.
Yeah.
Right. So, just in practical ways, when you release, you could still do and take action, but get far better results from those actions because you're not having to fight through your feelings. You're not having, holding the wrong thing in mind the whole time. So you could take action and have those be more effective actions. You can make decisions and have those be smarter decisions.
Yeah.
Right? And then as you do that and you start doing things, you realize, oh, wow, I could do things much more easily. And I could take very little effort and get much more done off that little bit of effort. And then you start to realize, well, wait a minute, how am I creating all this anyway? Right? If at one point in my life, getting something done took a lot of effort and a bunch of energy in order to accomplish it. But now, from releasing, I do like 1/10 of the effort I used to do, and I get 10 times the result that I used to get.
Right.
Where's all that coming from? And maybe it's not even the effort. Maybe it's just the decision in the first place. And then you just kind of drop the rest of the doingness, and then before you know it, you're just allowing things. You're just in that place of being. You just allow.
Yeah.
And then any goal that you set after that, you don't even have to do a whole lot of work releasing on it. You just go straight to, I can allow that goal to happen. I think somebody here, Kris Novell, put in the chat. Sometimes we will get a goal with 5 minutes of effort, right? Just very little effort, and we get stuff done. Mm-hmm. See, this is the momentum that you start to realize when you really apply yourself and you release. Right? When you first start working on goals, it might take you a lot of effort to start clearing out all the thoughts and feelings. And like you said earlier, you did a lot of releasing, but you see there's more that comes up. But you stay with it. You go, well, if I released before and I got nice and light and I got more coming up, well, what am I going to do about that? I'm going to let that go. See if it can get even better. And if more comes up, instead of getting pissed off that more came up, go, I thought I should have been done with this already. Just go, okay, well, there's some more there. Good. Now I see it, I can let that go. And you just let that go. And it just gets better and better and better and better.
Yeah, in one moment of releasing, I got the insight that it's possible that this project is not about raising money. It's about bringing up all this stuff and releasing it. Because it's been, so that's a whole shift in perspective, which is really helpful.
Yeah. See, doingness is a great tool. And this really is kind of built into the method itself. Because, like I said at the beginning, what Lester set up for us is absolutely brilliant. Because it's one thing to talk about, well, it's good to let go of desire. But number one, how do we do it? Right? It's one thing to say it, and that sounds great, but don't just tell me to let go of desire. Show me how to do it. And Lester gave us 6 simple steps to accomplish that. Very simple. It's very easy to let go of desire. And once you let that go, then you recognize, oh, all those insecurities, all those feelings of lack, they weren't even true.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the limitations that I was struggling through for so long in my life and feeling so bad about, and feeling like I'm a victim in the world. And even though those moments in my life, it may have felt very true, those obstacles seem very, very real, after you release, you recognize, oh, it was just in my mind the whole time. And it's just a big joke I was playing on myself. And you don't even want to beat yourself up. You just laugh at that point. It's like, sometimes you'll laugh hysterically. I remember there were times when I was laughing for weeks. I couldn't stop laughing. Right? And Larry wanted to kick me out of his house because I was laughing so much. And I've seen other graduates do that. I remember one came to a retreat, and by the end of the retreat, he was just laughing all the time. And then afterwards, we had like a follow-up call after the retreat, and he said that he had a little bit of a problem getting through security for a moment because he kept laughing, through the security line, and they thought that he was a little bit crazy, so they stopped him, and they had to release on that. And but it's true. You just laugh your head off because there's nothing. It's like, oh, I wasted so much time and I put myself through so much effort. You realize nothing ever happened. This whole illusion that I had. See, just like when I was talking about earlier about being in a dream, you just realize something's not working for me. Let's just change the whole picture and do something else. Let's go on to another dream. And you can make a decision like that. And it's like, forget the other dream. It's never even happened. Let's have something else now.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to experiment with that now. I don't think I've ever done that in a dream. I consciously changed it.
Yeah, well, because a lot of times when we dream, it's just our subconscious coming up with a lot of problems. This is, a lot of our insecurities. This is why we have dreams where, like, we have to make some sort of public speech, but then we show up and we don't have any clothes on, and we feel really, weird about it. I think that's a very common dream. This is why I said earlier, like, surely some others, must have this experience. But, there are a lot of instances where we can all relate to dreaming certain things. And we can dream where, like I said, like we're trying to do something, but we're like running through mud. And the more effort we put into it, it's like the slower we go.
Yeah.
And so this is a good realization. Like if that happens, and then we could just kind of let the whole thing go and just change the whole thing by undoing the effort. If we could do that in a dream, then we could do that maybe here. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know, just kind of play with it. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm the crazy one. All right.
I don't think. All right. Thanks, Kris.
Yeah, sure thing. All right, so anybody else? Brenda.
Hi. Oh my God. I didn't know how to put that little hand up. I'm happy.
Yeah, I saw you raise your hand up on the screen, so that's good enough.
It's been so wonderful. I just have to thank you. It's been absolutely revitalizing, reminding. I'm releasing on this. I haven't been able to go, I hate to say this, out of the house alone for almost 3 years.
Uh-huh.
I was not almost knocked down a few times. It's very rough. My neighborhood used to be safe, but people on bikes and all kinds of stuff. And someone was killed in front of me on a scooter and all of that. So I just became, I've been in my apartment unless somebody comes with me. And I really have to let that go now because it's just not necessary. I have this image. If I go out, I'm going to get killed.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering, at the beginning, now I feel much freer, but in the beginning I was thinking, and I'm a little older, my balance is not what it was. So it's easy when they come up, you never know when someone's coming. And that is a reality when you go outside.
Okay.
I mean,
So,
I have to discriminate
mm-hmm.
what's actually dangerous and what isn't. But I do want to get back out into life physically. I've been living on Zoom for 3 years. It's enough. It's too much. I mean, I see people, my kids, my grandkids, my friends come, but briefly. But I really want to get back in life now. And
Okay.
And to discriminate, though, if there really is danger there for me.
Yeah. So talk about discrimination. Now, yeah. So talking about discrimination, I'm glad that you brought that word up, because that's the easiest way to move forward here. Because now all you have to do is discriminate about one simple thing. Even if, those dangers are real, how does fear help you?
Not at all.
Okay,
Not at
so
all.
fear doesn't help you at all, even if it's true. Right? Even if those dangers are very valid out there, having fear about it, that's not going to get you out of danger.
But it keeps me in the house. I think that's what it does. I think it keeps me safe because it doesn't let me go out alone.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But I want to get rid of that.
Okay, so let's look at it this way. We might say that, well, fear is a good thing. It'll keep me from running out in the middle of a street, out in the middle of traffic, right? Well, no, fear doesn't necessarily do that. Just simple common sense. Discrimination, right?
Okay.
Fear doesn't help you.
Right.
Okay, so now that we've established that, the answer about, well, what is real or what is not real as far as the dangers are concerned, that's not relevant right now in this moment.
Yeah.
But recognizing, well, you have some fear, I'm assuming, right?
Huge.
Right? And it's just a feeling.
I don't have it unless I'm going out, but if I'm exercising or moving, it's spread all over my body, keeping me like, I do a lot of Zazen, of course, which is perfect for that, but it's not helping me to move or get out of here.
See, one thing to notice is how you do anything is how you do everything. So you have fear about going out. You don't even have to go out, but that fear is seeping into everything.
Yes.
So even just moving around the house, you
Yes.
still have the same fear.
Yes.
Right? And again, the fear isn't going to keep you from falling over. Right?
It's going to help me.
Yeah, and if anything, it's going to make you more susceptible to falling over. Right? Because, like, if you have fear and you run out into the middle of the street and you see a car coming at you, likely that fear is going to make you freeze in place.
Yeah,
rather than being agile and going, oh, wait, whew, dodging
I have frozen in place, even in my own apartment. I won't exercise. I have to release this.
So not only is the fear not helpful, it's actually detrimental, and it's just a feeling, and it doesn't feel comfortable. And never mind the other story, but what you know from your own experience is you can let go of that fear. You've done it before, right?
Yeah. Yes, I can.
Okay.
Right.
So that is in your power.
Yes.
So all you have to do is just do what is in your power right now and make that decision. I'm going to let the fear go. All right. Would you be willing to do that?
Absolutely. 1,000%. Yes.
Okay. So you feel the fear now?
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And see if you've been pushing down on the fear, fighting with it.
Yeah.
Okay. And it doesn't go anywhere when you do it. You're just bottling it up.
Okay.
So instead of pushing down on the fear, could you allow that fear to arise?
Yes.
And welcome that fear up. And just get out of the way. Let that fear leave.
Leaving.
Okay, yeah, just open up, let it pass through. It wants to leave. It really does. But you've been fighting with it, keeping it from leaving. So just let it leave. Like I said, it wants to leave. Just let it leave. And let it leave a little bit more. And a little bit more.
Great.
And a little bit more.
Beautiful. I see white clouds where the fear was. Just very pretty, easy white clouds.
Mm-hmm.
Feels lovely.
Yeah, you see, you did what you knew was in your power to do, and you took that step, nice and clear and simple. You didn't matter to you what the next step was.
Right.
Right? You just, okay, I have fear. I'm just going to focus on welcoming it up and letting that fear go. I'm in charge. I'm going to let that fear go. And you didn't have to know anything beyond that. And look at what happened. Like you said, the clouds opened up.
Yeah, like beautiful white clouds came where the fear was.
Okay.
And there's more, and I'm letting it go. There's a lot there, but I'm letting it go.
Okay, so welcome up some more fear.
Into the clouds.
Yeah, so could you let some more of that fear go? Welcome up some more, wherever it came
so
from.
Much, so much, yeah.
Okay. And see, you could be proactive with this, right? Pull up some more.
Oh, yeah.
Say, fear, come on up. Think about something think about getting slammed by a bike. All right?
Yeah. And
okay, and just welcome up the fear. Let the fear go.
Okay.
See, even if somebody hits you with a bike and you break 3 bones, what's the fear going to do for you?
Nothing.
Okay. So again, just let the fear go.
Okay.
And let it go some more. And even more.
Yeah.
And even more. And even more.
Beautiful. I'm seeing so many fun pictures of the carousel in the park. It keeps morphing into beautiful pictures.
Yeah. See, look, when you let go of the fear and you let go of the wanting, like the wanting to be safe.
Yeah. Oh, that's a huge one, right? Exactly.
Right? See, when you're wanting to be safe, look at what your mind dwells on in that state.
That I'm not safe.
Yeah, and everything I got to watch out, make sure that doesn't happen to me, and got to watch out for that. And you just focus on everything that's not safe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So you're holding the wrong thing in mind. This is why Lester said, examine your thinking and correct it. And correct it just by releasing. You don't need to put correct thoughts in. You don't need to think about anything other than just letting go. And what shows up after you let go is just perfect. It's always positive. It's always... See, just like the first caller, when they... Our very first release on this call here, they got just like a minute and a half. They just let go of some fear.
Beautiful. And
it was like, oh, everything's perfect now. I feel nice and light and clear.
I do too at the moment. I feel like I could go out.
See, exactly. See,
and I realize there's no reason why I shouldn't.
So
if I see a bike, I can get out of their way quickly enough.
Yeah. Or you just have them move around you.
Huh?
Or you just have them move around you.
Yeah.
So the difference is, instead of talking to your mind, which all it knows is negativity and fear and regrets and on and on and on, when you release, you start talking to something that's beyond your mind. And that thing has no ounce of negativity in it at all. It's always positive. This is why every time I release, we always come from this place of, I can. I got no problem. I can. I feel light. There is a possibility. We can't put our finger on it, but it's just coming from our intuition, our gut feeling. And that's something that's much more powerful than our mind that we're talking to. And it's always there once we release.
I've been releasing, but it's different to make that decision to go deep and to be on course and to work with others. Especially, it's great to be working with you, Kris. I must say that. I don't know how to thank you. You know, you have such a generous, beautiful spirit. And when I listen to you saying this, it goes in and it reminds me, it puts me back into my right mind. But I also realize it's important to stay on course. I signed up for the health course.
Yeah, I saw that. I was going to say.
And I just want to keep working now. And I think I want to make that commitment to really sitting down and spending sufficient energy on the releasing. I haven't, I guess I kind of, even though I have all the tapes at home and things, and I do it with others, I just, it's good to be on. And to have a group to work with, it's important.
That's why I said releasing is a skill.
Yeah.
And so if you really want to get good at it, then it takes applying the skill in a very committed way. So that's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, even, things are just getting good. It's getting good. I feel I can release, but I really love the support and the structure. And I feel it, for me anyway, at this stage, is very important.
Yeah.
It just is. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
I'm glad to see that.
Mm-hmm. So I've been to probably over 200 classes, weekend classes, retreats, online classes, and all the years of being there with my teacher Larry, and then also teaching a number of classes and so on, and sitting at retreats. I've been to hundreds of them, and it's just the simple act of showing up and doing the work, doing the exercises, just sitting down, doing the attachments and aversions, working on the goal charts, and just those simple exercises, and using them to apply the 3 simple tools of releasing, right, that we show you, that you just apply it again and again and again, and keeping it simple. Like I said, what Lester stressed all the time was keep it simple. Okay, don't add anything to the method. There's nothing to try to figure out. Just, I gave you 6 simple steps. Just follow them, do it. And so we practice it, we do it, and we see it's just sitting down doing the work that just pulls back the blinders, or like you said, opens up the clouds, and then you just see things clearly.
Yeah, I did a little bit. About 6 months ago, like by myself, I was working on some theater goals, and I just suddenly won 2 big prizes for some of my plays out of nowhere. But I shut right down with the releasing after that, because the fear had become so intense with everything else that I couldn't even go see the plays in the contest. I couldn't get out of the house to go, and it was also somewhere else. I had New Orleans and this and that. But
look, the only thing that happened was, you were doing well with releasing. You were letting go of fear and other negative feelings. But then you had a feeling that came up and you're like, oh, that one really hits. And I don't like that fear. And then you started fighting with that fear and pushing it down. You're saying no to it. And then that's how you kind of got trapped by it again.
Yeah, I've got them.
That's all.
That's all. I'm going to just keep releasing now a lot. And I'm excited for your class to start soon. It's pretty soon.
Yeah. Well, next Thursday.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, thank you for calling on me. And I feel really lighter. I feel like I could go out now, which I'm going to try right after this. I'm actually going to do it.
Yeah, give it a shot.
I'm going to have a good time.
Yeah, and
I am.
And all you have to do is just step by step, kind of go through it very consciously or thoroughly. Like maybe stand in front of the door. Think about opening up the door. and then see if there's any fear, right? If there's any fear there, just let it go right on the spot. And you go, okay, now I'm good. All right, now let's open the door. All right, now okay, any fear? Okay, before I take a step, I'm just going to let the fear go. And once the fear goes, okay, now I'm going to step out. Right? Yeah, it'll be super easy.
Thank you.
Right.
I will see you next week.
Yeah, we'll see you Thursday.
And I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very, very much.
You
Have
bet.
a beautiful
Thank you.
day. Have a great day, and thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, so just real quick, what Brenda was talking about here is, and somebody had also, Brett, you had asked in the chat if I was going to be doing a course in New York. I look forward to. I'm going to look at maybe coming back to the States in 2024. Maybe we'll set up a class then. I did a class once before in New York, and it was really, really lovely. So I'll look to do that again. But in the meantime, you have to wait for me to come to New York. If you want to participate, I invite you to join me, because we're going to be doing this course for 6 weeks. And we do 2 classes each week. We do them on Thursdays and Saturdays for 2 hours. And we have a whole workbook that we go through across those 6 weeks. And then also, each week I do a number of guided releasing videos. So it's like extra content for what we don't cover in class, to make sure we really go through it thoroughly. There's so much that we put into it. And that's the best way to get into the swing of things and start quickly getting to the place where the releasing's working for you again, is to jump in and start applying yourself. And also you get to, like here, be with a group of like-minded people, right? Not the people we typically see when we step out in the world, people that are complaining and are fearful and are looking for things external to change in order for them to be happy, but people that are on a mission all together and unified with the same goal of imperturbability, and recognizing that's the most important thing. Because that's not what most of the world will tell you. Most of the world will tell you to get your want, get your desires. That's the way to go, which is not true. So we're starting next Thursday, the 6-week course, and we're going to be focusing on health and the body and mastering the body, which includes doing things like healing the body. You know, when it's sick or when it's injured, just by releasing, you could heal the whole thing. Lots of people have done this. In fact, I think using releasing to heal the body and take care of other body issues is something that is very easy. I've seen people, no matter who they are, be able to demonstrate health gains reliably using the method. Whereas people, they seem to struggle more with money and so on. I think that's probably just because they got so much more wants and desires about it. But I don't know. I think there's just something about the body also being a direct feedback mechanism. So when you release, you feel something like right away, right? You feel lighter, but you also notice that, like, you know, if you have a pain or something, just by a few minutes of releasing, you'll notice the pain goes away, that your body feels better. And you get that immediate feedback response. You go, oh, wow, I'm going to release a little bit more, a little bit more. And from there, you start to demonstrate, oh, I can make an illness go away. I was about to catch a cold, I released on it, the whole thing disappeared. Or I just injured myself, and I released on it, and the whole thing just disappeared right in front of my eyes. So we're going to be working on that. We're also going to be working on kind of mastering addictions and other urges that we have. So we're not a slave to, certain addictions, obviously like cigarettes and alcohol, things like that, but also addictions to coffee and sugar and stuff. It's not that those things are bad. In fact, we're going to get rid of those stigmas in our mind of, oh, this thing does this to the body, it's bad for the body. That's not true. Only if you think that it is. But in a greater sense, you're just not pulled by these, oh, I got to have this in order to feel right. Oh, I got to have my coffee in order to feel human again, and to start my day. You're much more in conscious control over yourself and your body and your habits. And it's a very freeing, very liberating thing to do for yourself. Just be in conscious control of yourself. And ultimately, what we're going to shoot for, our goal in this upcoming course, is to recognize that we are not that body. It really is just a thought, just a picture in our mind. And we don't need the body in order to be. And so from that, and letting go of our identification with the body, we move on to a greater freedom that extends beyond the body. And in that, we're able to eliminate all of our fear of dying. And from that, all of our other fears. And once we achieve that, we're truly invincible. So, that's what we're going to work on. It's called the Body Mastery Course. And I'll just drop this here. So we're going to be starting this next Thursday, September 14th, and we're going to be going until October 21st. And you can go to the website, powerofquiet.com, scroll about halfway down the home page, and you'll see the link to it there. And that's the best way to get really good at releasing. Get back into the flow and remember the goodness of where Lester's coming from and this gift that he's given to us. The gift to recognize that the most important thing in life, more than anything else, more than getting our way, more than having lots of money, more than having a life that works for us, the most important thing beyond any of that is to be hootless, to be imperturbable, to be in the place where no one and nothing can bother us, where we have no fear, we have no shame, no regrets, none of that ego stuff, where it's enough to be. That's it. So join us. You can go to the website, powerofquiet.com, and you'll see the Body Mastery course there. You can register online there. All right, so anybody else? Anybody want to check in or maybe share a gain? I know there's a number of people here who have done a lot. How about you, Francesco? You always have good gain to share. All right. Nobody else? Okie dokie. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. So, thank you for joining us. And I'm just looking through the chat. I'm happy that a lot of you are pleased that you showed up here and you got something good out of what we did here this evening. Now,
Kris,
just
I have a gift.
yeah, who's that?
This is Connie.
Oh, hi, Connie. What you got?
Hi. The last course I took from you, I think, was about 8 months ago. But anyways, for the last 8 months, I've been working out, and I hated physical exercise and moving my body and that. And I've been working out with a personal trainer faithfully every week, twice a week for 8 months. And now it just keeps increasing. I'm doing, Zumba classes and other things physically, walk 30 minutes a day. And that's just a total, complete change for me for, 8 months ago.
Mm-hmm. Nice. And that's another demonstration of when you go out and do something and then you use the doing to bring up your resistance to doing and drop in that. Then you see the doing is so easy. Before you know it, you're just being, and you could do everything from that place of being.
It's loving it. I love it. I love doing it.
In fact, I'm going to next week, I'm going to put up another video on the up on the YouTube channel where I'm going to share a story that I heard from Larry about Lester, about physical activity, because he used to tell stories when he was back in New York with Lester, that Lester would play tennis with him. And what they would do is it would be 2-on-1, 2 people against Lester on the tennis court. And Lester would whip the 2 people. And he was in his 70s. And it was like, Larry was like, there are like 2 of us in our 40s playing against Lester in his 70s, and we were the ones running around huffing and puffing. Lester wasn't even breaking a sweat. And I first experienced this back when I was in San Francisco, because once there was a releasing graduate, who was visiting San Francisco, is a very serious releaser. And so, we had connected, and it was interesting because instead of like connecting to say, oh, let's go and sightsee or go out drinking or whatever, he was visiting. It's like, oh, let's connect and let's hang out and do some releasing, right? That was our goal of getting together. But he had also invited me to go running. He used to run a lot, and I never ran much. I probably didn't even run around the block before in my life, or almost. And I was like, well, I'm not much a runner, but okay, I'll show up. And so we started running, and I didn't even ask him, but as we were running, he started to talk about how he used releasing with running and other physical exercises. He used it to confront his resistance. Like when you start doing something physical, like running or weights or cycling, whatever. If you start getting into effort, then you start feeling this resistance. And then your mind starts creeping in of how much longer do I have to do this? And, oh, I can't wait till this is over. And I get to sit down and have a drink. And until that happens, oh, I have to grind through this miserable exercise. And we have resistance to doing it. And that's what makes it so hard. If we just let go of our resistance, then even these physical exercises, activities, become a piece of cake. And so he was telling me this, as we were running. And I was like, wow, that makes sense. So as we were running, I just started letting go of my resistance. I was just inviting it up, letting it go as I was running. And once I started feeling like I was straining or I don't want to do this anymore, I just recognized that as resistance. I just let it go right on the spot. And to my amazement, we ran, I think we started in North Beach in San Francisco. We ran all around the Presidio. Then we ran across the Golden Gate Bridge and then down into Sausalito and then back and did the whole thing. And not only was it a pretty good distance, but also lots of elevation changes because you have very steep hills there, very steep grades to go up and down. And I did all of that without needing a rest, without let's stop and take a break or anything. Just I'd never run before in my life, but I did all this running with them and kept up with them easily just by letting go of the resistance right on the spot. So that's another demonstration of this, using doingness to bring up what bothers you about something and then just letting it go and then finding the doingness to be a piece of cake. So this is something we're going to really incorporate into this health and fitness class, the Body Mastery course next week, of stirring ourselves up so we can confront our resistances and then drop it so we can have lots of ease from that moment forward. So thanks for sharing that,
Yeah,
Connie.
I had a lot of resistance. Yeah, I had a lot of resistance that I had to just keep letting go, but then it just became easy, and I love it.
Yeah. See, it's just your picture. You release and the whole picture changes. Nice.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you. All right. Anybody else?
Thank you.
Okie dokie.
Hey, Kris.
Yeah. Frank.
I got on here very, very late, and I really wanted to see this, but I really appreciate everything that you're doing. I love your videos. I've been working with the release technique for quite a while now, and I would have to say, resistance. I have the goals and resistance. I have the what you want to do when you grow up course.
Mm-hmm.
I have the health and mastery course, but I would have to say resistance is probably one of my, it's that voice. I can't really see a picture, but it's that voice in my head that's just like, it just like, for example, the example you gave is running. I think that's a wonderful example. I want to get back into shape. My kids are in cross country and I want to kind of keep up with them. But that voice in my head just, sometimes it's just, it's not overwhelming, but it's just, there's a lot of power to that. How do you deal with the voice, I guess? I understand the pictures and I'm not a visual person. I guess I hear my mind more. I think my mind really creeps in those times when I want to give up. Maybe it's a project at work or so. Mm-hmm. But what do you suggest about that?
Well, I would just start with the 6 steps.
Okay.
Right? Because step 3 is see every thought and feeling as either wanting approval, wanting control, wanting to be safe. See that immediately and immediately let that wanting go. That's it.
Got you.
So whatever that voice is saying, and this goes back to the skill I'm talking about. See,
Absolutely.
As you develop the skill, then it's going to become second nature to you. To whenever a thought comes up, it goes, where's that coming from? Oh, it's me wanting control. And then you discriminate. Oh, if I'm wanting control, that means I'm out of control. I'm lacking it. Want equals lack. And that's on me. That's in my charge. And I'm going to let that wanting go.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I will work with that. I'll kind of stick with that formula and just work with it, That's all. It's practice. I get that. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. Okay, dope. So thank you, everybody, for showing up. Look forward to seeing you again. Look forward to seeing you next Thursday. If you want to join us, just go to the website, powerofquiet.com, and join us for the Body Mastery course. All right, so keep it up, keep releasing, and we'll see you soon. Thanks, everybody.